All right, y'all, welcome back with the Stone Runners. My name is Dwayne, joined by my boys Roland and Mario. Right now, we're about to check out a video from Joe Rogan, the most popular podcast in the world. It's called "Learning to Be Alone." Learning to enjoy being alone is a superpower, and I wanted the fellas and anybody to watch this. I think it's something that anybody could get something from. Just when you see this man speak, just the way he view life, as he try to keep it as simple as possible and just focus on his happiness and peace above all. And I think it's just some lessons everybody can get something from. And y'all see, Joe Rogan is an interesting cat. Like, I think we were just talking before the video started, how most people know him for Fear Factor and comedian, but he's a real interesting, deep, thinker, and he has a lot of interesting guests on his podcast. And I think this is one of the most interesting in what this guy was saying. So he just got a lot of gems. So I just want y'all to peep this out and check it out. Let's get into it. See what it is.
When I was growing up, there was this statement, I think it was Pascal, he said, all of man's problems arise because he cannot sit by himself in a room for 30 minutes alone. And it's very true. I always needed to be stimulated. And when the iPhone came along, boredom was dead. I would never be bored again. Even if I'm standing in line, I'm on my iPhone. And I thought it was great. And when I was a kid, I used to try and overclock my brain, be like, how many thoughts can I think at once? The answer is only one. But I would try to think multiple thoughts at once. And I was proud of that. I was proud that my brain was always running. This engine was always moving. And it's a disease. It's actually the road to misery. And now that I'm older, I realize that you actually want to, again, rest your mind. You want to learn how to settle into your mind. Now, I look forward to solitary confinement. You leave me alone for a day, it'll be like the happiest day I've had in a while. And that is a superpower that I think everybody can attain.
The superpower of learning to be alone and enjoying it. Yeah. Well, I think it's critical, and I do think that these times where you just think about things, just be alone and think about things, are so rare these days. And I think during those rare times is when you really get to understand what you actually believe or don't believe.
Yeah, it's funny. When I first started meditating, it was really hard, right? Because I think a lot of people who listen to this broadcast, they've heard of meditation that has a good rep. So everybody tries it. They struggle. They kind of give it up. It's one of those things that everybody says they do, but nobody actually does, right? It's like not eating sugar, right? Everyone talks about how, I don't eat sugar, but then the dessert tray rolls around and everyone's going for the cookies. Right? So it's become one of those things, and in fact, it's now even become a signaling thing where it's like, how much did you meditate? I meditated this much, or there are people now wearing headbands saying with Tweety birds that chirp, and then when they're in deep meditation, I don't know how they make it work, but they'll be like, I got a lot of chirps today. How many chirps did you get? Right?
God.
Oh, your meditation technique is wrong. Mine is right. But really, all it is the art of doing nothing. Okay, and it's important because I think when we grow up, right, there's all this stuff happening to you in your life, and some of it you're processing, some of it you're absorbing, and some of it you should probably think a little bit more about and work through, but you don't. You don't have time. So it gets buried in you. And it's all these preferences and judgments and unresolved situations and issues. And it's like your email inbox. It's just piling up, email after email after email that's not answered, going back 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And then when you sit down to meditate, those emails start coming back at you. Hey, what about this issue? What about that issue? Have you solved this? Did you think about that? You have regrets there? You have issues there? And that gets scary. People don't want to do that. So like, it's not working. I can't clear my mind. I better get up and not do this. But really what's happening is it's self-therapy. It's just that instead of paying a therapist to sit there and listen to you, you're listening to yourself. And you just have to sit there as those emails go through one by one. You work through each of them until you get to the magical inbox 0. And there comes a day when you sit down, you realize the only things you're thinking about are things that happened yesterday because you've processed everything else. Not necessarily even resolved it, but at least listened to yourself. And that's when meditation starts. And I think it's a very powerful thing that everybody should experience. And that's when you arrive upon the art of doing nothing.
Well, I think it's even a problem that most people are getting their meditation from an app.
I will not use an app.
It's sneaky. I mean, Sam Harris is a very good meditation app, I should say that. But you should be able to just do it. And many people can't.
It is literally the art of doing nothing.
Yes.
So all you need to do for meditation is just sit down, close your eyes, comfortable position. Whatever happens, happens. If you think, you think. If you don't think, you don't think. Don't put effort into it. Don't put effort against it. all you need.
Do you concentrate on your breath, or do you have a specific technique?
Nothing.
Thank you.
You
just sit.
I
think about my breath. That's all I do. I just try to only concentrate on breathing.
I used to do that, but at some level, all the concentration, every meditation technique is leading you to the same thing, which is just witnessing.
Yes.
And concentration is a technique to still your mind enough that you can then drop the object of concentration. So you could also just try going straight to the end game. The problem with what I'm talking about, which is not focusing on your breath, is you will have to listen to your mind for a long time. It's not going to work unless you do at least an hour a day, and preferably at least 60 days before you kind of work through a lot of issues. So it'll be hell for a while, but when you come out the other side, it's great.
Quick,
you
fast
get rid of the chatter.
Or when the chatter comes, it's in the background, it's dimmer, it's smaller, you've heard it before, you see the patterns, it's more recent, it's something you need to resolve anyway, and you will get moments of actual silence. What's
your ultimate state when you meditate? Like, is there a state where you've achieved, rarely if ever, where you just you're in bliss, or you're in harmony, or you're in enlightenment? Like, what?
It's kind of indescribable, because when you're really meditating, you're not there. When there's no thoughts, there's no experiencer, there's nothing. There's just nothing. So it's hard to describe, but I would say that it's like you can definitely, every psychedelic state that people encounter using so-called plant medicines can be arrived at just through pure meditation. And I've definitely hit some of those states.
You've hit some transcendent psychedelic states where you're hallucinating the whole deal?
I've had trippy visuals. I've had the lights and colors. I've had the so-called downloads. I've had the realizations. I've had the bliss. I've had the light. I've had the colors.
But not every time.
No, it's rarely. And in fact, I would say that's also like an experience that you can start craving, which will then actually take you out of meditation. Where you really, and I'm not enlightened or anything close to it, so not even the ballpark, but my own experience, and this is just personal experience, is the place where I end up the most, that is really the one that I want to be at, is peace.
Yes.
It's just peace.
Peace. Happy.
Man, that was some heavy stuff. That was like a whole, almost 2-hour podcast, I think, of like this dude just dropping gems on life, money, building equity for yourself, and what true financial freedom is, and just clearing your mind. It's not, and what I kind of took to it wasn't, he wasn't selling no self-help book. He wasn't pushing no product. He was just saying, he wasn't even telling you what to do. Just say, sit down and just let your brain work through everything. And I don't know how like y'all, I think y'all say y'all tried it before, but it's hard to just sit down and it seemed like it's the easiest thing because you're doing nothing, but it's one of the hardest things to do. Because everything you've been running from in your mind, or whatever you ain't been wanting to think about, even if you can't lie to yourself about it, it's like it's sitting right there, and if you waiting to be resolved, you just gotta sit there and deal with it,
And just like when you say you called like the gems he was dropping, I find that in my life, like the most of that happens to me at night. I don't have to meditate. I can just be sitting at home in bed, watching television, on my phone, doing whatever, and literally my brain goes into a place to where sometimes it's dark. And hold up, disclaimer, I'm not saying I have any like dark thoughts or anything like that. I don't want y'all to think that, or anybody to think that. What I'm saying is that my brain, everything like he said, processes everything that you haven't processed, or everything that's just kind of like you put on, keep it, you know how when like his analogy on the emails, like how you click on when you read email, and something you see you want to come back to, you save as mark as read or unread or something like that. And it kind of, all that happens at night, and then before you know it, I'm thinking about everything that happened, everything that has happened, things I've tried to control, things I can't control, and that does get overwhelming. And Mario, I don't know if you tried it, but I have tried meditating, and that shit is very hard. Like Dwayne said, just the idea, you would think, oh, I do that. I do nothing anyway. But when we sitting at home, we're not doing nothing. We're thinking about things. We're doing things. We're putting our energy in something. And that shit is, that's real. That's really, really difficult. But now the way that he says it, it kind of makes me want to reattack it from a different way. So, I mean, it's worth trying. Actually, like letting you sit down and just let your brain work itself out. let your thoughts process. If it's darkness, let it go. Because at some point in time, you have to approach it. You know, so I like
that. At some point, I say you gonna have to let it go, son. Sometimes you gotta take that shit to the chin. You know what I'm saying? That's just what, you know, that's just life sometimes, bro. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go through things to, you know what I'm saying? Some people gotta go through things to actually learn from shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
But life is the best teacher.
It was very interesting the way he pushed it. It was very interesting the way dude put it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I never did that shit like properly. Meditating. You know what I'm saying?
How they say it's meditating is you're supposed to clear your mind. Like, how can you clear your mind, you know, when there's so much that's going on that's affecting you?
I might talk to myself more than you know what I mean? Like, that's, you know, I might talk to myself, like, more than me. I don't know. I just rather talk to myself than just me being quiet and me acting like this. You know what I mean?
But
like,
I think a lot of, even to what you're saying too, I think we all, like, when we going through our thoughts and like remembering like past like painful experiences, embarrassing moments or whatever, or good moments, you when you're talking to yourself too, you kind of trying to control it too. I think what he's saying is too, just sit there, like that painful moment, you don't want to think about it. In it happened. You just thinking about it. You thinking everything through. You thinking everything, ain't nothing new gonna come up that you ain't think about. And what I think that's what I'm kind of envisioning that he talking about.
Ooh, that could be a real release. Thinking about it, like thinking about it, like I'm just thinking about it right now.
What that pain was or whatever, and never holding on you. Like, it is what it is, and truly being not worrying about it.
Coming to acceptance of some things, you know, learning to accept and stop holding on. That's real profound.
Because then once you let go of all the other paths, all you got to do is, all you got is everything in front of you, and then you could truly focus on your goals.
Yes. Wow.
Right.
You know, you learn something new every day, people.
Yeah, man. So everybody, I hope if y'all haven't seen it, maybe if y'all just check his video out, we'll leave the link down there, and maybe it won't be nothing, but maybe I'll take the chance just to listen, maybe just a couple minutes. Something that could possibly give me something out of it. And so just a whole podcast of it, just interesting topic, just two men chopping it up, being interested in helping people. All right, y'all, man. But thank y'all for watching Storm Runners. We'll be back, no doubt.
Peace.
We out.